We were out at IUPUI, and although the outcome on the scoreboard was not something that we wanted, I did see some growth and some encouragement back to maybe how we were playing 10 days ago, if you take a couple games out of that equation. And for that, I like the momentum. I like the direction that we're going. We have our hands full on Thursday when we are down at South Dakota. As awesome and as great as we played and that game was here at the Shack, certainly there'll be some revenge on their minds, and it'll be a little bit of a different game at their new arena. But then we'll be back on Saturday for our pink game when we are hosting Oral Roberts. So another action-packed weekend for us and something we're looking forward to continuing to grow.
What were some of the things you saw in the game that brought you back to 10 days ago?
Yeah, I saw great competitiveness. We got ourselves a little bit of in a little bit of a hole, and our ability to rally together as opposed to kind of go in our own ways, rally together to get us back to within 2 at halftime, and then we took a lead in the third quarter. That competitiveness, that communication, that attention to detail had been lacking in game time the last couple of games.
You think Sarah is maybe pressing a little bit? It seems like the mind might be a little ahead of the body as the turnovers are starting to mount for her. She's trying to push the pace a little bit. You think she may be trying to do a little too much?
I'm not sure if she's doing too much. I think there's a cumulative effect of a little bit of fatigue. As a freshman, she's played a lot of basketball, and her body's telling her it's time to move on to my spring sport, not continue basketball. But I think also, once again, playing against different styles of play. This is a whole new ball game, literally, for Sarah, for Riley, for all of our freshmen. And so just when you think you've got the pace of play, the physicality under control, you play somebody different. And I think that's what she experienced against IUPUI. They are very defensively oriented, fantastic on-ball, but also off-ball defenders. So some of the gaps and some of the things that she was able to see in other games just didn't present themselves. But I know that she's a kid that's going to be in film watching, in Morgan's office watching film with her probably already today to look at some of those turnovers and some of the areas that she can make improvements. And we'll have an opportunity on Thursday, but then again on versus Oral Roberts, who has a highly intense defense as well, an opportunity for her to grow there.
We talked so much about the confidence that came from, picking up those big-time conference wins. How are you seeing the girls respond to that? How are you using maybe those lessons learned now in a different way as you guys fight to get back to that?
I think it's what did we do? How were our interactions? What did we do to put ourselves in those situations? Again, not out of superstition, but out of being prepared, both physically and mentally. What do we do to put ourselves in those situations, and how can we ensure that we are still doing that or tweaking and improving upon those things? Because so much of it is, yes, physically being prepared, but then also the mental part of the game, whether it's mental fatigue, mental attention to detail. There's a lot that goes into that. And so it's a lot of conversation. It's a lot of film. We're still working hard on the court, but so much more now is mentally being prepared so we can physically do what we need to do. We can't physically do it all the time, or we won't be able to withstand it, come game time. But I like where we're at, the energy. Again, I walk into meetings and players are very, Coach, we got it. We know what to do. It's just, it's on us. We're almost there. I see the pieces coming together. So it's very encouraging to be around our team right now.
You mentioned, Sarah, with the fatigue, and you've got these young players playing major minutes and playing important roles. Is this a point in the season for you where you've kind of noticed you do need to do the film more? Are you guys taking more time off the court, more in the classroom? Mm-hmm. And how are you kind of balancing reacting and adjusting your maybe game plan and what you saw for the season with that?
I think there's a couple things that our staff is doing and will continue to do, and then some of the upperclassmen as well. We have 2 games this weekend, but then only 1 game next week because we play on Thursday. Today wasn't, we essentially had 2 days off. Those are things that are built into the schedule to help with some of the fatigue that some of the younger players may or may not be experiencing. But it's also talking about it. Like, the wall's there. It is really there. Let's not act like it's not there. Let's talk about it, and then talk about ways to combat it, whether it's more time in the ice bath or more stretching. What can we do to combat the realness that it is. But it's funny, they think that I can just work through it, I can work through it, I'm tough, and it's like, I'm not saying you're not tough, you are tough, but let's go about it in an efficient way so that there is mental reps more so than physical reps. But they all do learn, and they all want to get that physical rep. So sometimes it's saving themselves from themselves and their own eagerness. But that's somewhere where like Taylor Thunstead comes in and then she's like, no, it's real. You can I can take this rep. You got to take this rep off. And they look at her like, what are you talking? Yes, you'll thank me in 2 days. And so it comes from us, but it also comes from some of their older teammates who have experienced it too.
What can you take away from that first game against USD that's going to benefit you guys going into this one?
I think there's a level of confidence that when you look at standings, when you look at rankings, when you look at records, we can compete, and we have been successful against the top in our conference. And so we use that in a balance and a healthy balance of not being overconfident, but knowing that these are players that we were very successful against. This was a style of play that we were very successful against. Again, what made us successful, and let's replicate that, but also grow it, knowing that we're going on to their home turf, their new arena. There's got to be a little revenge in their minds of our attention to detail has got to be a step higher, but it's something that we were very, very capable of because we were successful.
Satisfied with the progress you've seen from Riley Nudell? Seems like she's become a more consistent option for you on offense. She's putting up some better offensive numbers now that you're in league play.
Mm-hmm. One thing that we challenged Nudell to do is be more aggressive, and sometimes that's attacking the basket. Sometimes it's just taking the shots that are available. Sometimes that's looking to defensive rebound or offensive rebound more consistently. So that was something that we have challenged her with, and I like the response that she's getting. Sometimes she's a kid that needs like the okay to do it, which is kind of baffling to us coaches that they need permission to do things they're very good at. But I think that's a little bit what you're seeing is she's more comfortable as a freshman in this bigger stage with these players, and so she's willing to be a little bit more selfish, even though nobody in this room would ever call her a selfish player, but look for herself and be a little bit more aggressive. So I like where she's going.